Unsuspecting townsmen, all snug in their beds, unaware of the evil that takes place over their heads, with a flick of the wrist and a twirl of the claw. I'll get rid of those girls once and for all.
Welcome back to The Gentleman Psychic. Make certain to hit the like and subscribe button and ring that notification bell to be updated on videos like this and many others. Also, check me out on Patreon. Link is in the bio. Had you been on Patreon, you could have seen last night the outfit for the intro, because that has something we're talking about today in this story right now. Also, when you're on Patreon, I have different tiers. I have different gifts that I can give you. We give shout-outs and tea and cards and personal accoutrements, things like that. But if you want something that is a little bit more tangible, you can go right over to thegentlemanpsychic.com and you can find me in my shop. So I have paintings, original artwork for sale. I have some prints for sale. The only original that I have so far is Baron Cemetery, or Baron Cemeti as he's called in English. But anyway, go right over there, look and see what I have. I have patches also. Well, I'm not going to show you. I have patches. And anyway, lots of things. Look for me over there. Now, we'll get down to the heart of the deal. So, I wanted to talk about my car. Those of you who have seen my car, you could probably actually see in my last live video, you can see me driving my car. It is a reproduction, but a 1937 Jaguar. No, 1936 Jaguar. And I love it. It's so much fun. It is a pain in my backside. But also, I want to talk specifically about the license plate. So I was really lucky. I was so very lucky. I was so excited. I got the plate that I wanted. My plate reads Mr. Satan. And I could not believe how lucky I was to get Mr. Satan on my car. However, it took me a little bit of time, and then I realized that Mr. Satan is an animated character. It's not him, but it is an animated character in Dragon Ball Z. So now when people look at my car, they go, "Oh, is that from Dragon Ball Z?" And I say, no, it's not. So originally I thought, oh, Mr. Satan, people are going to think that I have infernal powers. And now they think, oh, he likes animation and he lives in his mom's basement. You know, things happen. But outside of those sort of funny remarks about Dragon Ball Z and, you know, or people who have an affinity for the dark side, as it were, there was a fellow today who had something to do with the devil on his license plate, and he was so proud. He pulled up next to me and he said, "Hello, Mr. Satan, you got to look at my license plate when you drive around." And that was sweet. And there was another fellow who had 666 in his license plate somewhere, and he wanted to talk. And he was so proud that he had that sort of connection, and he was amazed that I had Mr. Satan on mine. Now those are funny, and I love those kind of interactions, but I've also had a numerous amount of other rather peculiar interactions. Just today, in the same spans of finding people who were thrilled about Mr. Satan, I encountered not one, but 2 times at 2 charity shops here in the town where people were less than, what is the word I'm looking for? They had to tell me of their disdain. So the first thing that happened, we went over to one of the shops, my friend Lady Alexandra and I, and the shopkeep, one of the young guys who works there, lovely fellow, he comes in, he goes, "There's a beautiful classic car out there. Do you know who owns it?" And Lady Alexandra said, "The gentleman in the fez." And overhearing it, this customer of this shop says, with a terrible name on it. Like that, sort of frowny. And I went, okay, whatever. And then we went over to another shop. And the woman is normally very polite. And she says, I love your car. I hate the license plate. And I went, thanks. I love it. You don't have to drive it. Yeah, but I'm really religious. And I went, good for you. If it makes you happy, good for you. Great. But there was another time too where I was driving down Colorado Boulevard here in Pasadena, and as you know, everyone is dining outdoors these days. So where there used to be a lane is no longer a lane; it's people dining. And this group of people sitting at this table, they raise their voice. Oh, beautiful car, terrible license plate. And another instance, and now this is sort of the last personal story that I'll tell you on this, and then we'll get to the real meat. So 1 year ago this week, I made such a huge mistake. So I had just rebuilt that car. It's got a Ford engine, but it's a 45-year-old engine. And I had it rebuilt, everything was going great, so I thought, and I got a gig in Palm Springs. So when I drive, I kind of look like a cartoon villain. I have my fur coat because it's cold, and I have my driving hat with the earmuffs because it's cold, and I have my big red leather gauntlets, and I have this mustache, and I usually have the quadrifold lens sunglasses. And I look like I'm about to do some wacky races, right? So I get out into Palm Springs. I'm about 17 miles from Palm Springs, and I hear a pee sound. And I went, am I hearing things? I don't know. So I drive a little bit further, and then I realize there is smoke boiling out of this car. It is boiling out of it. And I call my mechanic, who is my neighbor, and I said, Johnny, the car overheated. I'm about 17 miles outside of Palm Springs. And he goes, I tell you what. He says, park the car and walk to a gas station. I said, Johnny, I'm 17 miles outside. I'm in the desert, 17 miles from town. And he goes, okay, all right, it's fine. It's fine. Let it cool down, and when it cools down, drive it slowly to the next stop, find a gas station, you'll be fine. So I drive the car very slowly, wait the 30 minutes, drive the car very slowly to the next stop, and it looks like the hills have eyes. I'm out in the middle of the desert, and there is a gas station, but it hasn't been a gas station in probably 25 years, and it has chain link around it, and I'm looking, going, oh, this is how I die. This is how I die. And thankfully, somebody down there really likes me, because a minivan with a family pulls up, comes around the corner, and I went, my saviors, oh, my saviors. And here I am again looking like dastardly, wacky races. And I'm going, wait, stop, wait, don't. I need a gas station, not for gas. I overheated. I need a gas station for water. They said, oh, there's one back 5 miles that way. And I went, I just came from that way. He said, oh, well, you could just take the side road. Maybe that'll help you. Maybe it'll be a little bit easier. So I get off on the side road, and my car runs out of gas, and I'm still like 3 miles from the gas station in the desert on the side road. And now I think, this is how I die. And I go, oh goodness, okay. So this young couple pulls up. At the same time, this older gentleman pulls up, and the young couple, they're fun, and they have water. They pour water in the car, and I can't figure out my gas can, because I have a gas can. I just couldn't figure out the pressure valve thing. And the older fellow, he said, "What's the matter?" I said, "I overheated and I ran out of gas." And I have gas, I just can't figure it out. And he says, well, I'm a good Catholic, and I don't know how I feel about helping Mr. Satan. I mean, I'm a Catholic. I was a Boy Scout. I don't know if I should help Mr. Satan. And I said, buddy, if you owned this car, you would understand why I call it Mr. Satan. So please pour my gas into my tank. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. So I get back into Palm Springs. I realize now that I have blown the engine. It is gone. It is absolutely gone. And long story short, I get it towed back. We get it rebuilt. Everything is running fine. Everything is great. But it's still that reaction of, oh, ooh, Mr. Satan, ooh, why would you do that? Why would you say that about, why would you do that about him? And they always whisper, him. Why would you, I'm a Christian. And my point is, good. If you have found peace in a Christian church, and it makes you happy, and it brings you meaning, and it brings you joy, and it makes your life better, great. I'm not a Christian for many reasons. That's my path. Your path may very well be that of a Christian. And again, if it makes you happy, fine, do it. It's fine. But people have a tendency to, first of all, react before they think. And secondly, they have a tendency to think of things, claim that it's evil. There's no reason. The Bible is where we get Satan, but really it comes from Hasatan, which was an older energy that was supposedly an accuser. And it goes into even where we get the light and the dark was Zoroastrianism. We're not going really there. I really just kind of wanted to tell you a little bit about, I don't care what religion you are. It would be very rude of me as a Satanist. It would be very rude of me to walk to someone who, for instance, who would be wearing a cross. Now, I'm wearing a cross of Leviathan, but for me to go to someone wearing a Christian cross and say, I love your outfit, I hate your cross, that would be very rude. It would be very rude of me to find someone who had a beautiful car with a license plate that said something like, I love Jesus, or a Jesus fish. And I would say, I love your car, I hate your Jesus fish. I don't have to tell you that. It's none of my business. And if you want to put that on your car, put that on your car. I don't have to look at it. If you don't like Mr. Satan, you don't have to tell me you don't like Satan. God knows, your God knows you don't like Satan. That's okay. You don't have to like Satan. I love Satan, the idea of Satan. I like the idea of Satan. And speaking of liking the idea of Satan, here's a word from my friend the devil and Osmodeus.
Lucky little devil, the whole world is wild about you. That's why I'm so blue. Lucky little devil, they all want some loving from you.
Hey, fellas. Hey, fellas. Hey, fellas. Hey, why did the hypocritical Christian cross the road? To give you their unwanted opinion. Hey, I got another one. How are opinions like? Back to you in the studio.
I wanted to take a moment to thank my top-tier patrons, Dee Lucaro, Mary Jane King, and Lauren Morgan Richards. You mean the world to me. All of my patrons do. Thank you for even the little support, the smaller donations. It adds up. It really helps me to continue doing what I do, and you mean the world to me. All of my patrons. If you can give, and it doesn't hurt you, I would always appreciate it. It helps me to keep the show going. Now, if I am not your cup of tea, that's perfectly fine. I'm not for everybody, as I just discussed. But I would urge you to find an artist that you do enjoy and support that artist if you can. And again, thank you. Happy holidays. I'm your host, Richard-Lael Lillard, the Gentleman Psychic. Till next time.
I surely do, lucky little devil. I worry more and more over your popularity. How can I picture you getting sweet on me? Lucky little devil, your love dreams are bound